Hello, YouTube. This is MagePower, and I know we have that no sooner than. Looking at my calendar, it says yesterday. So that means any day now we could be seeing a ban list, and I figured I'd at least put my 2 cents in on what the ban list should be doing this time around. I do hope we get a real ban list and not a pardon list. So this is going to be actually a little bit long because I do believe that we should be getting a list, and there's a few things I want to talk about on this. Obviously, I think the big elephant in the room right away, right here, you can see it already on your screen, is Mystic Mine. Mystic Mine is not a healthy card for this game. I think this card needs to go. This card should not have even been printed, in my opinion. And I think at the very least, please limit the card like they did in the OCG. I would prefer this to just get outright banned, but please get rid of Mystic Mine. This card does not need to be a card. Please let it go. I think if you do hit Mystic Mine, I think one card you can definitely talk about, though, is Metaverse. Metaverse, I think, has been limited largely in part because of Mystic Mine. I think you could possibly see this be bumped up to 2, maybe even 3. It's a slower terraforming. It's fine, I think. I think this card being bumped up without Mystic Mine being a card is fine. And then getting into some other things I'd like to see happen. Obviously, we have the Numerons running around. So, Utopic Zexal, I think, is a problem card. I do think that this has overstayed its welcome, and I think it should be banned. I understand Megaclops is still a thing, but Megaclops, you can still beat over it. You play things like the Utopia package to, you know, things of that nature will run over a Megaclops. There's ways over a Megaclops. Zexal just says you can't play. Another card that says you cannot play the game, True King of All Calamities. This is a card that, yes, Eric, I understand some decks. It might take some resources for some decks to make it. But it is only 2 level 9s, not 3. Although you can use 3 because it's 2 plus. But that being said, Calamities is another card that says you don't play the game, and it's possession, so it also stops effects in hand. So, like, even against Eldlik, you could call Light. Your opponent can't then Golden Lord the Calamities away, and you could still get stuck there. Although I do understand this card is not as good against Golden Lord. But without that, I do believe that does hurt Dinosaur a little bit. And so I have also included a few adjustments to Dinos because Dinos, let's be real, a lot of people don't want to recognize that they're a very good deck. I don't know if they're top tier, but they're good enough and have been represented. And we could clearly see, I know Team X Sam just topped with them at the, I forget what the name of the event was, the internet event Konami ran, but they also won the last YCS. I know they were top 4 at multiple events prior to that. Dinos have been doing pretty good things, and I want to see them at least addressed. I don't want to kill them, but I think there are some necessary things to be done here. I think True King of All Calamities is the first thing. I think this should be banned, and I don't think this should exist any longer. But I also think Miscellaneousaurus is a problem card. I think this card at 1 was fine. I don't think it should have come back to 3. Even at 1, this was still a bit of a problem. But if you take those cards away from Dino, 2 cards I think to consider. I think Lithosogym could come back to 3. And I think Diagram could come back to 3. I'm not arguing for both of these 2 cards to come back to 3 at the same time. But I do think one of the 2 coming back to 3 would be a welcome boost to Dino to try and help with what they're losing by losing VFD and Miscellaneousaurus. Moving on, I think Block Dragon is a card that should be banned. We all know, oh, hey, look, let's bring 3 monsters to my hand. And I could just summon all of them. And This card is free advantage +2. This card is way too good. This card should not exist in the rock deck and should be banned. Then I think if we do hit Adamantipator, we do also have to look at the other, top deck, which is Elixir and Golden Lord and etc. I don't think that it's really that unfair, but Konami does have a history of hitting all the top decks if they hit, a couple of them. So if you see some of these hits, I think the Golden Lord deck will see at least a little bit of a hit. I don't think it'll be a big one, but I think you could see either Cursed Eldland here or Elixir of Scarlet Sanguine possibly being targets. I don't think they'll be banned, but seeing them possibly hit to 1 or 2, I think would be fine. I think it still leaves the deck in a playable state, but it makes it a little bit less consistent. And I think that'd be fair. Another elephant we have to discuss. Well, we have the synchro things. There's a lot of things to discuss here. I'm sure you've heard most of the arguments already. I think the main thing, I know a lot of people are arguing for the link cross. I don't think this is the right hit. I think Auroradon is the best hit, and that is because Auroradon gets you the most tokens, and that's what you're using to go up into cards like your Boral Savage and into your level 9s. These are the cards that are obviously being the problem right now. I think hitting Auroradon fixes most of that problem. I think if you hit Auroradon, you could probably also hit Jet Synchron alongside this. I think this is the most abusable tuner. I recognize there are other tuners out there. You could still do the same thing with Plague Spreader Zombie and other random zombie monsters out there. But Jet Synchron, I think, is the most abusable one. And if you ban Auroradon, that also means O-Lion becomes much less of a problem, because you can't just Auroradon out an O-Lion. You have to actually summon it off the Needle Fiber, and that requires specific lines of play. Another card to address, I think, is Dragon Buster Destruction Sword. I know this has fallen out of play a little bit, but Union Carrier equipping this is still a problem, and I think you still have to address it. This card being able to equip to any Dark Monster because of Union Carrier, or any Dragon Monster for that matter. I'm sorry, this card has to go. Cards that just freely lock people out of the extra deck just shouldn't exist in this game, and this card, I think, should be banned. Moving on, there is one interesting thing that I think we need to talk about, which is the Infernoble Knights. You have Smoke Grenade of the Thief. Smoke Grenade of the Thief, for those of you who don't know, basically you look at your opponent's hand, select a card from their hand, and discard it to the graveyard when this card is destroyed by a card effect. Infernoble Knights have a card that lets you destroy a card on the field when it's equipped with a card. So essentially you equip Smoke Grenade, and that card will then destroy the Smoke Grenade, and you get to lose a card out of your opponent's hand. Just any card. Look at your opponent's hand, get rid of it. You don't like their card? Well, guess what? You don't have to deal with it. I think this card is a card. I know for the longest time people have tried to make this card relevant, and it never has. And I think finally, now that it's become relevant, it shouldn't exist. This was a problem waiting to happen, and now it's a problem because it's happened. One line of cards, this is going to be a long line right here, so fair warning, bear with me. There's a line of cards here, about 10 of them, actually counting. There's 13 cards here that I would like to at least see looked at. I know not everybody's talking about all of these, but I would like to see them looked at because they're FTK enablers. Every single one of these cards has the potential to be an FTK enabler, and I would like to see them at least looked at. Maybe not all of them banned, but some of them definitely already have been banned in the OCG. And I think we need to start addressing some of these here in the TCG. The first one is Flame Spirit Ignis, and the second one is Ultimate Baseball Kid. Both of these have seen play with the Infernoble Knight decks, especially the Ultimate Baseball Kid being a Fire Warrior makes it very easy for FTKs to happen in a Fire Warrior deck. You know, it's kind of one of those things that Infernoble Knights do. This is another card that Infernoble Knights have been using, though. This basically cemetery bombs the opponent because you attribute a fire to inflict 100 for each fire in your grave. So, because these cards are not once per turn, and there's others here that are not once per turn as well, but these specifically for the Infernoble Knights, these cards, I think, you have to at least address and look at the fact that these could become degenerate, could become ban-worthy, and I think nobody would really be upset that these were banned. People would recognize that these are problems, and they should probably be banned. Another card that is not once per turn, I don't think this next one's as big of an issue as some of these others, because it deals in normal monsters, but Manthro is not once per turn as well. This, by attributing a normal, inflict 800, not once per turn. So in theory, you tribute 10 normal monsters with this, you win the game. Another series of cards. These all have actually been banned in the OCG. You have the Cannon Soldier Mach 2, Toon Cannon Soldier, and Amazonas Archer. All four of these have been banned in the OCG because they are easily FTK enablers. You tribute any kind of monster to inflict damage, not once per turn, so you just loop it over and over again, and these cards just win you the game. A couple others to add to this, you have Anti-Aircraft Flower. This card, you tribute insects to inflict 800. I was a little bit concerned about this when we saw Link start to come around and we saw the Level Eater, and I thought that might happen. Then they banned Level Eater, and I became a lot less concerned about this card. But I still think this card, not being once per turn, it does present at least a potential future problem. I think this card is another card to add to this list. Another one is Rapid Fire Magician. This card, every time you activate a normal spell card, inflict 400 damage to your opponent. I could easily see this being a card where you normal summon it, activate Upstart, activate, all these different draw spells, activate Golden Bamboo Sword, or I'm just throwing cards out there, but you get the idea. You activate, if you do the math, it's 400 each, so that's 20 spell cards. So if you activate 20 spell cards, you win the duel, is basically what this card says. And then the last one for the direct damage is Shadow Priestess of Ohm. This card, by tributing Dark Monsters, which is a very supported attribute in this game, I think this card is another card that is a problem waiting to happen. It's not once per turn, and it inflicts 800, so it only requires 10. So it's very, very easy to pull off if you can spam monsters. This card is a problem waiting to happen, and I think this definitely deserves to be included on this list. Another FTK enabler that's been around for a very long time, and I think it's definitely had its contention to be banned in the past, is Black Garden. The reason this exists on this list is because it puts cards on your opponent's field. It allows for easy interaction for broken things. One of the more popular interactions in the past was the Blaze Phoenix FTK, because it inflicts 300 for each card on the field. Well, guess what? You just put 5 monsters on your opponent's field. That in and of itself is 1,500, plus all the cards on your field. In theory, you could do a lot of damage with this. I think Blaze Phoenix is another card because it has been limited in the OCG, and it's not here. I understand the whole thing with the Galaxy Tomahawk. That's how a lot of people were doing it, and Tomahawk is now banned here. And I know it's not banned in the OCG, and I understand the difference. but I do think it is at least another card worth looking at. Moving on, another card that's not a once per turn is Galaxy Wave. This card is now very searchable because it's a Galaxy card. Each time you XE summon, inflict 500 to your opponent. It's not hard to just spam out XYZs. I don't think this card is necessarily ban-worthy, but I do think it's another card to consider among these non-once per turn direct damage cards. And then the last card I have on this list is Magical Explosion. This card, we all know this is a degenerate strategy. It's come back even back when Monarchs were a thing. The last time around, this did see some viable play. I think this card is... I don't see why it should be at 1. I really don't. It's banned in the OCG for a reason. Having it at 1 is basically saying, oh, it's fine. You're just not going to get it all the time. Well, it's one of those things where you draw enough cards, you're going to see it. It doesn't matter. Plus the fact that Curious is a card. Curious can just send this to the graveyard. Then you can go up into your Nightmare Griffin, set it, and, well, it doesn't matter that it's limited. Another thing to discuss is the Orcus, Harpor, and Galatea. I think Orcus does need some help, and I think the OCG actually got this one right. Harpor at 1, Galatea at 1. I think bringing Harpor back to 1 does allow Orcus to be a deck again. And I think that it's... I do think if you do bring Harpor back, Galatea does have to be addressed. But by bringing Harpor to 1 and Galatea down to 1, I think Orcus can be a deck again, and I think it'll be a better deck. I don't think it'll necessarily overpower the current meta, though, and I think that would be a very welcome addition for most Orcus players. Now, going on to some cards that I think should be discussed as possible cards to be bumped up the list. I think we have Tour Guide. Tour Guide is a card. It's fine at 2. I think it'll be fine at 3. We have Totally Awesome, this card. I can understand a little bit more on this card than ABC Dragon Buster. I think both of these cards, though, however, are candidates to go back to 3. I don't really understand that much why they were limited. I think both of these cards at 3 would be fine. I don't have a problem with either of them. Another card that I think would be interesting is Blaster. Blaster, I think, is the next logical Dragon Ruler. Title is a bit unhealthy for Mermails, and let's be honest, Red Ox is just broken. I think Blaster being a neg 2 to pop 1 is fine from hand, and it's just a 2800 beat stick on the field. This, I think, would be the next Dragon Ruler to test the waters if they did that. I'm not saying they will, especially in these times, because, I don't know that they're going to try and shake up the format, given everything going on around the world. Obviously, the Crush card can't say the actual word, but you get the point. Then, a lot of people are wanting one Colossus back. I have one word for you. No. This card cannot come back. It is a walking mistake. This card, especially with, I believe it's Nemesis Keystone, I believe it is. Let me see. Live searching. Nemesis Corridor. Oh, yep, this card right here. Target a banished monster. Special summon this card from your hand. This is an effect that activates. It is a Thunder. So therefore... Oh, well, look. I have a banished monster. Here, let me summon this card from my hand. Shuffle that target into the deck. Oh, guess what? I'm a Thunder monster. Here, let me make Colossus. One card Colossuses. You're going to start seeing Colossus in every deck if you bring that back. I don't think this card can ever come back, and I think it should never come back ever. And I will say that over and over again, never, ever, never, ever. Please do not bring this back, Konami. This card is toxic for the game. Another card I think people have been discussing is Rusty Bardish, this card cannot come back because it just gives you too much advantage. I know people are saying, oh, they might bring it back because of the new support coming out and Phantom Rage, but that doesn't mean they're going to unban it because it supports the deck. Konami should still recognize that this card is not healthy for the game, and this card cannot come back. And then one more card, though, that I think could actually come back to more. I think Morphing Jar is an interesting discussion. It's currently at 1. It's not doing a lot. I know they brought it back to 1 a while ago. I think this might be the time when we could start looking at Morphing Jar possibly going to 2. I don't know if we're going to start talking about 3 yet, but Morphing Jar to 2 I think would be fine. It's not doing anything at 1. Let's see what it does at 2. And then lastly, of course, the obligatory Maxi discussion. 3 or 0. I'm personally a fan of 0. I don't think this card should come back. But if it does, obviously, it should be at 3 if it comes back at all. Anyways, thank you for watching. If you did enjoy the video, give that a thumbs up, like, subscribe, follow me on Twitch. I'm pushing for that 50 milestone. I'm currently, I believe, at 40 as of recording this video. If you did like it, obviously, comment anything you think I might have missed, anything you think I got wrong. Obviously, these are opinions, so I'm not Konami. I don't have the real list. If I had the real list, guess what? I'd probably give it to you. But I don't have the list, but these are my thoughts. Tell me what you think down below in the comment section. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, I appreciate you watching it, giving it that thumbs up, and I will see you next time.